Okie dokie. Look at all those wonderful people
I know.
in the chat. I think we're live. We are definitely live. Scarif live. All right, let's do this countdown, brothers.
This station is now the ultimate power in the universe.
We are back here at the Scarif Scuttlebutt podcast. Shanti, how's it going?
Good. I did a wardrobe. I always have music running in my head.
Wardrobe change.
I did a wardrobe change.
May the
Force be with you.
Force be with you. I think I know that saying. Very nice. You look lovely tonight, my co-host, Shanti. Thank you so much for continuing to celebrate this wacky, wonderful Star Wars Podcast Day 2022. Look at all the wonderful people in the chat. Thank you guys for joining us. We got the Escape Pod. We got Josh. We got Lunar Girl. Yay. I wonder if Josh is wearing a fancy schmancy shirt. That's the question
floral
right
nature.
there. The floral nature. But you know what, though? He picks up the best. He picks the best shirt. So I'm good. We have a really great show for you tonight. We're going to chat with actor John Tague, and I hope I'm pronouncing his name right. I didn't ask him before we started, but
Would have been nice.
yeah. But I had a reporter when they were doing the preview for Rogue One. She pronounced it Rogue One, and I had to.
I would have accepted Rouge.
One, yeah,
because
Rogue One. But yeah, I had to slap her. No violence. I do not choose violence today.
Very good, sir.
Tomorrow's another day, but
That's true.
This is true, but let's get our guest up here so we can start chatting with him. There's a couple of things that we have in common. I have noticed already, but we're celebrating Star Wars Podcast Day along the fact that he's an actor. It looks like by the look of his hat, he is also a Star Wars fan. So welcome everybody, John Tague.
Hello.
Hello.
Hey, John.
How's it going?
Can you hear me?
Yes, you're freezing up a little bit, but we can hear you.
You guys are cutting out on me. I can't hear you.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. You, let's see. Testing, 1, 2, 3. Testes. How about now?
I can hear you guys now, yeah.
Okay.
All right. Sounds good. So before...
Can you hear me?
Thank you very... Yes, we can hear you.
I can hear you.
Okay, you guys, there's a bit of a delay.
Okay. The wonders of the internet.
How is that possible? It's 2022.
We had,
Yeah, it's,
I don't get it.
Hard sometimes.
we had 15 people in the last chat. On the last
wow.
show with
Yeah, the panel was pretty big.
the panel was pretty big. But John, thank you very much for agreeing to come on. We're going to chat with you about a couple of things, especially today. Obviously, it's a little bit of a holiday. We were talking about how Star Wars kind of has generated a whole bunch of different dates. We've got May the 4th. We've got May 25th, which is, for me, work-wise, it's a personal holiday. I usually take it off. A lot of people are like, oh, is it like a birthday? Or is it? No, it's Star Wars Day. For me, that's Star Wars Day. It's May 25th. Obviously, the date that Star Wars was released back in 1977. But before we talk about acting in Star Wars, I have a very important question for you, John. Are you ready for it? I have a very important question for you, John, before we start talking about acting. How about now? Can you hear me now?
Yeah, it's very choppy in and out, but yeah, we'll try to make it happen.
Let's try this. You want to pop off and then come back in and see if the connection changes.
Yeah, let me try that.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay.
So we will try to do a refresh, a reboot, a retcon, if you will, and we'll come back. But how have you been? We've been going at this all day. How are you? Oh, man. You are killing me.
Right into that one.
I sure did.
Can't say anything around me.
Yeah.
Surprisingly peppy.
Yeah.
I'm surprised.
And let's see, I'm trying to read some of that stuff in the chat. Sith Care. Yes.
Josh is being a nuisance.
But he has a point. 52577. That
No, I
is
agree
the
with you.
date.
I agree with you.
And the funny thing is that everybody's like, "Oh, may the force be with you, may the fourth be with you." I'm like, that's just a goofy marketing
It
thing.
and I get it. It's a play on words.
Yeah. Let's see if our connection is better with John. How's
Hello.
that? Can you hear me? How you doing?
I can hear you. Yeah, I can hear you guys now.
Okay.
Perfect.
See you better
Yeah.
too.
All right.
Yeah, I think we can see you a little bit better too.
Mm-hmm.
Last
good.
time I think your camera was only pumping out 3 pixels.
I'm glad I spent so much money on it.
So I wanted to ask you before we start talking about acting and Star Wars. Obviously, you've got a Star Wars shirt. You've got the Mandalorian symbol on your hat. But I wanted to ask you a very important question before we start. Are you ready for it?
I'm ready.
Andy Taylor or Warren Cucurullo?
Andy Taylor.
Oh,
Every
okay.
day, all day long, he is the reason that Duran Duran sounds the way they do. He is their sound. I'm sorry.
Absolutely.
You got me fired up already.
Look what you did.
Absolutely.
He's the man. He gave them an edge to their sound, back in the '80s, and I love his playing, and he brings an energy to that band that the other guys just, I feel like, weren't ever able to do. I thought Warren was a great guitar player, and I liked all the stuff he did with them. But without Andy, I like all the new stuff. I love
Sure.
it, but you know what I'm saying.
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely a really great sound. I've been a Duran Duran fan since the beginning, obviously growing up in the 80s. It's really cool to see them. Somebody just asked me, because I had posted something about one of their new singles, and somebody said Duran Duran is still around, and I'm like, hell yeah! They really never stopped.
They just got nominated for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Absolutely. It took a minute.
Yeah, they're one of the nominees this year, so go in there and vote.
Absolutely, yeah. And actually, I think where was it? It was either on Hulu or Apple TV. They just had a really good documentary. It's brand new, and they talked about they talked about their up and coming days back in their hometown when they discovered Simon. And obviously the rift between them and Andy, talking about Andy. But it's a really great documentary. They show a lot of stuff from back in the day, and from the arena days all the way through to some of the newer stuff. But it's a really great documentary. Obviously, a fellow Duran Duran fan, you should check it out. It's really good.
All right, so let's talk Duran Duran for the rest of the show.
Yeah. It's funny. My wife always cracks up because she was in the music business for many years, and she worked with a lot of band members. She worked with Rolling Stones, David Bowie, Lenny Kravitz. But it's funny. whenever we go to like a TJ Maxx or a Marshall's, they always have Duran Duran Muzak playing, and it cracks her up. It's hilarious because we'll walk in and then they'll be playing Save a Prayer or something, and
she is so much cooler than you.
She is
so much cooler than you.
Definitely, absolutely. But I see a guitar on your wall. Do you play?
Yeah, that's my bass. The red Rickenbacker behind me. That's my main bass. Yeah, I've been a bass player since I was 13 years old, and I started off in bands before I became an actor. And I've been playing ever since. I've kind of taken a little bit of a hiatus from being in bands because it's too much work.
Sure.
But now I just do some home recording and just have some fun with it.
Really cool. In high school, I was a bass player for about 2 years. I started guitar. I didn't like guitar for some reason. I like the I don't know. I like keeping the rhythm and keeping this a lot of times the steady track on stuff like that. But I wasn't our lead singer, not to bring the room down, our lead singer committed suicide, and that kind of put a cramp in our style.
Oh,
that's a drag.
Why?
Very sorry to hear that.
Yeah, that was bad.
Very sorry.
Bad. Yeah. All right. Do we have a suicide prevention number we can put up underneath? Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah, but it was bad. And it happened in high school, which is really bad. I mean,
horrible. That's horrible. Yeah,
absolutely. But let's liven things up here a little bit after that. Sorry about that, but
all good.
Your acting career. I was checking out, and I did put your IMDb link up at the very top of the.
Cool.
The the chat here. So if anybody wants to scroll up and check out some of the work that you've done, I wanted to ask you. Regarding Star Wars. So this is one of the things that that for me, I was mentioning the fact that watching Star Wars really got me into what I do. I love everything behind the scenes. I love, editing. I love camera work. I love, audio work. It's a fascinating, arena, the whole creative process. And obviously acting is part of that. But I wanted to ask you, did Star Wars have any inspiration for you going into acting?
I think like a big majority of the guys that are my age, that are actors now would probably say that that's true, because I can say for myself that, when I saw the films, I saw the original films in the theater when they were released, and it changed my life, and it made me like you were saying, it made me want to do those kind of things. And like, I would see all the behind the scenes stuff too. And like, anytime they ever had a clip somewhere on, like, I remember back in the 70s, there was a show, or the 80s, there was a show called That's Hollywood, and they used to have a clip of Star Wars almost every episode. And it was always, something like behind the scenes, and I thought, oh, that's amazing. I'd love to be a part of that someday. But, growing up in New Jersey, in the town that I grew up in, nobody ever like considered, pursuing a career as an actor, really. And it wasn't until college that I really decided that I wanted to be an actor. But watching the films and being a fan, and thinking that, God, maybe it would be so cool to do something like that someday, because at the time we didn't know there was ever going to be, prequels or, cartoons and all this stuff that are out now. But, there was always something in the back of my head that was like, if it ever happens, I want to be a part of it. Hasn't happened yet, but I'm hoping, I'm pushing, I'm trying to get in the door there. So if anybody has any hookups,
let me
I wish.
Let me call Dave Filoni right now. Hold on.
Get Filoni on the phone. Get John Favreau.
So
I'll
that's
talk to all of them.
interesting. Yeah. So that's interesting. You said you didn't really get into it until college, and then you said that you did music before that. So what
Yeah.
was the switch? What triggered you to make that switch?
Well, I was like I was in a band in high school, and we were. Oh no, did you lose me? Okay, I'm back. I was in a band in high school, and we were really good. We used to play all over the place, and when I went to college, um, the band thing wasn't really an option anymore, and there really wasn't anything that I was that interested. I got there and I was like, I don't want to do any of this stuff. And my the theater coach, or the guy who runs the theater at the school, was my counselor at the time, and he's like, why don't you take some of my classes? So I took some of his classes, and the next thing I knew, I was like, acting in plays and doing things that I never thought I'd ever do before. But I think being on stage as a musician helped me transition into being a stage actor. And then when I graduated from college and moved to New York City, then I started pursuing a career in film and television. But yeah, to answer your question, it was kind of an accident becoming an actor. I always wanted to try it, but
Right.
you never think that you're able to do something like that, especially from where I grew up. So it's it was a nice discovery for me.
Did you have, everybody has a plan B when they start asking themselves about career and jobs and stuff like that. Did you have a plan B? Growing up, did you have like a hierarchy of things that you wanted to do?
Nope. It was either acting or music.
Yeah.
I didn't quite fit in with the whole corporate kind of world, and I didn't want to be a lawyer or a doctor or any of those things. I'm just not that kind of person. I don't have that kind of skill or passion for something like that. But I'll play one on television.
Absolutely. Yeah, we've talked to several actors and everybody's got their method, but I wanted to ask you, John, what does it feel like? You do your prep work, you get a script, you go on stage or on set. What does it feel like when you transform yourself from you to the character? Do you go through a mental process, or how is it that you accomplish such greatness?
Well, you have to kind of bring a little bit of yourself into everything you do. At least I do. I was trained as a method actor in New York, so I depend a lot on personal experience and also but also using my imagination for things too. And you got to build that world inside you before you can really take on a character and then show up on set and be believable doing whatever you're doing. You got to kind of live in the role for a little bit. At least I do. I know other people have different methods of doing things, and I don't diss any method. Doesn't matter how anybody does anything, as long as it's good, entertaining, and they do the job, hit their mark, and say their lines. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So, I do work really hard on whatever I'm in. I do a lot of prep work. It's all about preparation, so that by the time that you're in front of the camera and things are rolling, you're relaxed and you're able to perform, and you don't freeze up, and staying mentally sharp and all of that. It's hard work. I don't want to sound like a some kind of Hollywood elite or anything like that, but it's hard work. It's a lot of you're grinding, and most of the hard work is not having the part and trying to find the work, and the constant rejection that comes along with it. That's the really hard part. But you get used to it, and then once you have a nice technique that you can work with as an actor, then you're able to free yourself up and explore other areas of acting rather than just relying on technique. You want to use your technique as a foundation, and then from there you want to broaden Yeah,
Yeah.
that's how I do it.
How did you handle rejection when you first started, and going through the audition process? And did you have like, do you have like a bad audition story? Like that's always made me curious, like some of the more disastrous auditions that some actors have had to go through because they're not all winners, I'm sure.
So many. There's so many. There's so many disastrous audition stories. But like dealing with, I'll answer the rejection first thing, and then I'll talk about some awful auditions. You kind of get used to it after a while, and you got to have a thick skin to be an actor and work professionally. There are things that you can't let go of sometimes where I'm just like, I can't believe I did not book that, or I can't believe they gave it to him over me. Like that whole kind of thing. When I was younger, it used to bother me a lot, but as I got older and more used to the rejection, it kind of started to wear off. But it definitely, you definitely have to have a thick skin being an actor. And then moving into like the nightmare stories about auditions, most of the nightmare auditions I've ever had were when I was auditioning for commercials back in New York City. I had to, I would get, my agent would call me out or send me off to commercial auditions. And then every once in a while they'd send me off to like a modeling gig, like a print job, which I was like, I don't know, they're like, well, they have requested you, so come in and do it. So I would go in and, I'd be around these like, these Calvin Klein underwear models, and they'd be like, all right, everybody, take off your shirts. And I'm like,
Marky Marks of the world.
Like,
oh my
right. And
of
course, like I was at the bar all night the night before, and it's just not good. Another audition I had to break dance, which was, I hope that film never goes out.
Did you know how to break dance?
How many actors lie on their resumes?
No, they asked me, they're like, can you break dance? And I said to them, I was like, do I have to? They're like, well, yeah, he break dances in the commercial. It's supposed to be funny, and like he can't do it. I'm like, well, I definitely can't do it. So I started, doing whatever I thought was my interpretation of break dancing. So that was a nightmare. There's been so many. I mean, one of the last nightmare ones I had to audition. I was auditioning to play George Michael in the George Michael biopic.
Oh, wow.
Man, I love George Michael. I love, that stuff's, he's great. I'm not the guy for that gig, but, when you get the audition, you kind of can't turn it down, and you just got to kind of put your best foot forward and try to make it happen,
So as far as auditions, do you pick and choose like what you want to audition for, or do you just go to as many as you can to see, how that process is?
Most of the time, my agent or manager, they're really good at filtering out things that they know I'm not right for. So if I'm not right for it, they won't send me out. But occasionally a part will come by and they're like, look, we know you're not right for this, but you haven't met this casting director yet. Just go in and read it, or send in your tape. Like 2 years ago, we would go to the casting offices and audition. Now all auditions are online, so we have to set up studios at home and do them from home, and that's kind of a challenge, but that's kind of becoming the norm now.
Right, with everything that's happening. Sure.
Yeah.
And it seems like it would be even harder because, a one-on-one, right. A one-on-one, there's a connection. With Zoom, it's just very two-dimensional. There's no nuance. I mean, it's gotta be nerve-wracking for you.
Well, yeah. And, the Zoom auditions only really happen when they want to see you again. The initial audition is you're just putting out, somebody's reading, like your wife or your neighbor or somebody is drag your neighbor over. Can you read the other side of the lines for me so I can do this audition? So a lot of times we're sending a tape in and not getting any feedback or any response at all. So it's that's hard. I mean, at least when you're in the room with somebody, you can gauge like, okay, I'm not giving them what they want. Let me adjust it. This is like you send in what you think is the best take,
right,
and hope for the best. That's how it's been going lately.
Wow.
So impersonal.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine that.
Yeah, it's tough. It's
Do you
hard.
have a favorite role that you've done?
Oh, well, I mean, my favorite thing that I did a web series a couple of years ago called The Rolling Soldier, and that was my favorite role that I've done because it was, it was a great experience. It's my first time directing also, so I was able to create something really cool and an original, and that was a character that I liked a lot. But as far as like things that I've done that most people have seen, yeah, there's a couple of like little, co-stars or guest stars on some TV shows. Like Lucifer was a good show, American Horror Story, and the Blacklist. I enjoyed the Blacklist character. I think that one probably more so than the others, but that'd be a tie between I think the Blacklist and the Lucifer character that I played.
Are there any roles that, or any types of characters that you would prefer to play? That something that you'd really love to get sink your teeth in, whether it's a fictional character or a historical character. Is there anything out there that is on the radar for John Tague?
Well, as far as like the type of characters go that I like to play, I like to play, I like to play damaged characters. I like to play characters that have some obstacles to overcome. I like things that are what's the word? I like dark material.
Okay.
Psychological, thrillers type stuff. But as far as like things that I really like to do, I mean, over the years, like I would like to do more period pieces. I'd like to do more sci-fi fantasy stuff. I haven't really done a whole lot of that. I'm really aching to do some sci-fi fantasy. But most of the things I play are a lot of cop shows, a lot of what are they called? I can't remember what the word is. But cop shows basically.
Yeah.
Like procedural. I think there.
Yeah, procedural. Yeah, that was
right.
Yeah.
Right.
right.
Yeah. Yeah, I love watching all those, like the Law and Orders and all that.
CSI and
Right.
all those kind of driven shows.
I can never get into that.
That's what I get. That's what I get called in a lot for shows like SWAT and things like that.
Okay, cool.
And I'm trying to broaden my horizons a little bit in that
Sure.
area. So yeah.
That's awesome.
So, with today obviously being what today is, and celebrating Star Wars, what is it about Star Wars that like drew you in?
I've thought about this a lot, and for me, I think the one thing that I love the most about Star Wars are the friendships and the bond that the characters have, like especially from the original, films, the trilogy, New Hope and Empire and Jedi. The friendship bond was so strong in that I wanted to have friends like that. I wanted to be that. I wanted to be in a group of people like that were like, they were all ride or die. I mean, it was. I love that, and I think that's probably why the original films are so special to so many people. I think that the relationships were so strong, and you really were invested emotionally in those characters, and of course, looking back at it, like all the flashy, the ships and all the special effects and the lightsabers and all that and the mysticism that goes along with it all. For me, it all boiled down to, friends helping each other out and trying to, overcome the odds. That for me was like, it hooked me like instantly. That's what I think I
Sure.
love the most about it.
I feel the same way.
And it's interesting,
Yeah,
you know.
I mean, it just makes me feel good, you know.
Like I like the spectacle, but it's kind of a backdrop
Yeah.
to what the core story is, which is family.
Right. I wanted them to be my friends, you know?
Me too. Yeah, that's how I always felt about it.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about Ted Lasso. I want them to be my friends.
Have you finished it?
Not yet. I think we're in the middle of season 2.
Let me know when you're done. I can't
Yeah.
No, I haven't finished yet either.
I was so late on it. Everybody's like, "Oh, Ted Lasso." I'm like, "What the hell is this Ted
watched
Lasso?"
it like 3 times.
Yeah.
It's so good.
But you're absolutely right, John. It's, you know, I use the example of Ted Lasso, but these characters are so likable and relatable, and you can see how they connect. You know, Leia and Han, and Chewie and Han, and Luke, and it's just there's a little bit of something for everybody in these movies, whether
even the droids, you know,
right.
Everything. It seems effortless. It seemed really real to me. You know, as a kid, it was like, these are real friends, and they're, you know, like that to me was just like the coolest thing ever.
Absolutely. And it really happened a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. So I don't know.
Yeah, it did. In the 70s.
Yeah, right. Yeah, yeah. And, you know, this is one of the reasons that I really, really love Rogue One, because it just looks like, Rogue One especially looks like they just found footage from the 70s and then just made this movie. It ties in so well, down to the sideburns of the new X-Wing characters. It's just amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah. I loved Rogue One. I thought it was great.
Too.
Yeah.
I mean,
to me, it was,
you know,
The best of the newer movies.
I would agree. I would agree with that.
It's okay. You can say it. It's fine.
Well, I mean, look, I was entertained by the last 3 films. You know, out of those 3, I like. But and I know that's probably like, you know, heresy in some, you know, circles, but I loved it. And I enjoyed the other films. They weren't the strongest of the bunch. Like I'm digging. I can't like get over how good The Mandalorian and I'm just in on the book of Boba Fett. I'm 100% down on that show. That show is just crushing me, man.
yeah.
Crushing me. And then what the worst part is, I have to wait until Friday night to watch it because that's the only time my family can all get together and they all want to watch it. So it's like I have to go like under radio silence so I don't get spoiled.
Sure.
at all.
Yeah, you have to avoid it all.
And this past one, the past episode was like, I mean, I thought my head was going to explode.
We all did.
I couldn't believe what I was seeing, you know?
Me neither.
Yep,
Crazy.
exactly.
I mean, it was just nuts, you know? And like, there were so many great moments in that episode, so many good ones. The Cobb Vanth, like, think on it, you know, line or whatever it is, think it through, you know, that whole thing was so awesome. I love that.
Right.
And, you know, the just so many great things going on in that last episode. So I'm like, yeah, I love it. How do you
know,
guys
George
feel about it?
Lucas?
You guys dig it?
Oh, yeah, we're digging it. We're digging it. You know, there's
I'm a little
so
more honest than you are, Ro.
What's that?
No, we're digging it. You know, it had a rough start, and we have reviewed every chapter since the beginning.
Episodes 4 and on for me.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you know, shiny speeders and mopeds and
Vespas.
Vespas. Yeah.
I'm into mod culture, so I thought it was great. When I saw the scooters and they called themselves the mods, I was like, oh, that's fantastic. The only thing they didn't have was like the Who playing while they were riding around.
Oh.
Yeah. That's funny. Yeah. Yeah.
But I liked it. I thought it was cool.
But you know, it's so interesting because, you know, George Lucas obviously created this this world and borrowed from a lot of our modern, you know, myths and cultures, and obviously the Western is heavily implied in this last episode with Cobb Vanth and you know, our bounty hunter friend who showed up walking out of that desert. We were cracking up because it seems very cool, very cool.
Oh,
but we were cracking up because it seems like everybody in Star Wars tends to park their ship like really far away and then have to walk all this way to.
You need
What's
the
up with
dramatic
that?
Effect.
It's maybe they don't
gotta
want to
keep
get their
fit.
ship dinged up. Maybe
Right.
they don't want somebody parking right next to them. I don't know.
Exactly.
He's getting his steps
Yeah,
in.
but like the whole him coming through the rippling heat wave off the sand,
Yes.
and like I thought it was great. I mean, I'm a big Western fan too, and like,
Okay.
my favorite Western is High Plains Drifter, and I felt a lot of moments of High Plains Drifter in that whole sequence. So I thought it was cool.
Very nice. Yeah, yeah. Like I said, I mean, it borrows a lot of motifs from some of the, from westerns and other things. It's really, really great. And George Lucas was dreaming about bringing Star Wars to the small screen in the mid '90s, with doing some experimentation with ILM during the time when he released the Young Indiana Jones Chronicles, doing special effects for that. So it's really great to to be alive and seeing that effort come to fruition, having Star Wars on the small screen. Yeah, it's
a great time to be alive, to be a fan.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
We're getting so much cool content. I mean, like I thought Visions was incredible too.
I liked Visions very much.
Yeah,
I thought it was great. I liked all of them, and I'm not really that much of a fan of that kind of thing.
Especially
yeah.
But I
animated.
thought it was so cool. Yeah, and you can totally see the samurai film influence that that Lucas pulled from. And the other cool thing about Lucas that I love is his love for cars and
Sure.
gear.
Yeah.
So it's like it's like like seeing American Graffiti and those hot rods, and then him making space hot rods.
Sure.
And I think what's been cool about the Book of Boba Fett is they've kind of continued that, and that's why I like the whole speeder thing, because it was like, okay, they're giving a little nod to like that mod culture that happened in the '60s, and how they used to ride around on Vespas, with like 500 mirrors on them,
Yeah.
which I thought was neat. And so I like that about that they're keeping that tradition in Star Wars of like borrowing from certain genres of film and giving it a little nod and wink to it. That's one of the things I've always loved about it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it is great to see them, continuing that effort. The only missed opportunity that I feel that they really missed on is the speeder that they were chasing, the mods that were chasing that speeder. One of the shots, there should have been a license plate that said THX 1138. Missed opportunity.
I know. That would have been so awesome.
That would have been cool.
Yeah, it would have been amazing.
I got to get one of those. I'm sure somebody has that out here in California.
I'm sure.
Yeah, yeah.
Is
So-
this the nerdiest part of you, or like, do you consider yourself a nerd, or is Star Wars kind of like where it stops?
I like things. So I guess you could say I'm a nerd in certain ways. Like, I mean, I nerd out hard when I'm watching Star Wars. My wife and kid look at me like, what did that mean? And I can totally, explain it to them. But I also nerd out about music, and I nerd out about other shows and things too. So like, I like cool stuff. So does it make me a nerd? Maybe, I don't know. Totally fine with that. I like Marvel too, so I'm a big Marvel guy. But Star Wars is my first fandom, I guess you would call it. It was when the first time I ever saw that stuff, I lost, literally, my mind just was blown, and I was never the same after watching Star Wars. I think about it every day somehow. I'm 100%, guaranteeing that so do you guys, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes my coworkers and friends, and especially my wife, sometimes if they ask me a question, if I can throw in the answer in the form of a Star Wars quote, I'll do it.
Oh yeah.
It's
That's
easy.
yeah.
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 They must love that.
Oh, yeah. To a
But I don't think
certain.
there's been a day that's gone by where I haven't like fantasized about like Star Wars. It's like it's amazing how deeply ingrained it is in our culture now. It's
Yeah.
almost
It's true.
becoming I don't want to say like a religion or anything like that, but it's almost becoming one of these things that kind of might define you somehow in a way.
I agree with
Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
definitely.
Yeah. Yeah. And our friend Josh says fandom is fandom. Some people get it and some people don't. And I mean, that's for sure.
It's true.
There's people that like, XYZ and people that like ABC.
Yeah.
I,
I
you know,
mean,
I,
with,
I,
yeah,
It's
with
cool.
me personally,
I think
yeah.
it's cool when people, if people disagree with like something I like,
Mhm.
that's cool. But like, don't put me down for it.
No,
Right.
exactly.
Sure.
Don't make me feel bad about liking something.
Exactly.
That's not cool. And I think that and I know that Star Wars fandom can be pretty rough. So
Especially with the
if somebody
existence of
likes
social
something,
media.
let them like it. Yeah, social media is
Agreed.
rough, man.
Yeah. But, I was saying this in the last show with social media especially, and I know some people sometimes log off for an extended period of time for mental health and stuff. And sometimes,
Oh yeah.
sometimes I feel that, it's just like Yoda says when he was training Luke, when Luke was asking him, what's in there, and only what you
Only
bring
what you
in.
take with you.
Only what you take with you. Your weapons, you will not need them. So if you're ready for a fight, obviously you're going to get a fight. And that definitely applies in social media for sure.
No, it applies in life too.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
It's
Absolutely.
like one of the best life lessons ever.
Yeah.
It's I mean, and that's another thing that's great about the show is how it introduces different philosophies and different points of view from all over the world, especially from the Far East. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Absolutely. One question for you. Sith or Jedi, John?
Now that would be telling.
Well, the cool thing is that he's thinking about it. I always worry when somebody says one or the other like too quick. I'm like, oh, wait a minute.
That was me
Yeah.
because as soon as you asked.
Well, there's the part of me
Right to
that,
my
like,
head.
as an actor, the part of me as an actor would want to gravitate maybe more towards a Sith because they seem like they're more fun to play. But I think the Jedi is definitely something that I would aspire to be as a person.
Terrible.
But yeah, I mean, I'm a little on the fence. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. You have to see how it plays out. Give me
Right.
a lightsaber and a mission. Let's see what happens.
Let's see what choices you make, right?
Right? Yeah. Give me a really fast ship and a kick-ass lightsaber, and let's see if I can be strong and hold on to the light side of the force.
To the principles, yes, of the light side. So let me ask you, we talked about how I think every actor, whether they want to admit it to themselves or not, would really love to be in a Star Wars, something Star Wars, whether it's live action or doing some voiceover work or something like that. But if presented, if an opportunity presented itself, what kind of role would you love to play in a Star Wars?
One that pays.
Of course.
Great answer.
Actually, I would pretty much I would do it. I would do whatever they wanted me to do.
Yeah.
To be honest, I mean, would I love to be like a series regular on a show or a guest star in a film? Yeah, definitely. That would be amazing. But as far as I mean, I'll put on a stormtrooper helmet. I don't care.
Sure. And that's what Daniel Craig did.
Yeah.
Yeah. If it's good enough for him, it's definitely all right for me. Yeah, if they, whatever they want me to do, like throw me into, a garbage pit or Sarlacc pit or whatever, I'm down.
Mhm.
I want to be Max Rebo because he keeps surviving.
You keep surviving, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
What about a Star Wars actor? What if you had an opportunity to write a scene with another Star Wars actor, either living or present? Who would you pick?
Hmm. That's a good one. As far as like prestige goes, I would want to maybe work with Peter Cushing.
Mm.
Choice.
Or Liam
Yeah.
Neeson, maybe.
Oh
As far
yeah.
as the ladies,
Yeah.
as far as the ladies go, oh man. Well, I mean, Carrie Fisher is, amazing. But I really like, oh God, I don't know. I liked, what's her name? Kind of the name's escaping me, from Rogue One. I thought she was great. I'd like to work on something with her. She's a great actor.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, the one who played Jyn
What's her name?
Erso.
Felicity Jones.
Felicity
Yeah.
Jones,
That's her name,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
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 Yeah. I've nobody's ever asked me that. That's a good question. Because what's great about it is there's so many like great actors that have worked on the show, and there's also like tons of unknown talent at the time that worked on the show too.
Sure.
And I think that's what kind of made it fun. It was a kind of a combination of established talent and then like some unknowns, and it gave it a cool chemistry.
Yeah. So Shanti and I have this discussion where it's not really a debate because we kind of agree on the same thing here regarding bringing in like really big name actors into a Star Wars. We feel like sometimes it's distracting, like, oh, here's Tom Cruise as a Jedi Knight. Like it takes you out of the moment. How do you feel about that, bringing big names into these Star Wars projects?
I don't mind it if it's appropriate. Or, it's like, I remember watching Saving Private Ryan. I think that was the film. And then all of a sudden Ted Danson shows up. I'm like, what the hell is Ted Danson doing in this? It totally took me out of the movie.
Yeah.
That would be strange. But as far as like big names, like, look, Tom Cruise, that would be super distracting, I think. Or like Brad Pitt or somebody like that. But if you used somebody like Daniel Day-Lewis, that seems appropriate. That seems like that could fit.
I could accept
You know what I mean?
Right.
I mean, I don't know. Yeah, like seeing like a Meryl Streep or somebody. I think they've got the depth to
Sure.
pull it off because they're chameleons that kind of like that. Like if like Al Pacino or Robert De Niro showed up in a Star Wars film, I think that would be like a little over the top.
Yeah. So it depends.
Yeah.
I'd much prefer that than like some kind of some kind of weird like gimmicky like using a pop star or something in like bringing in, like, I remember when on Game of Thrones, I think they brought Ed Sheeran in.
Oh yeah.
I was like,
it just
I remember that.
It throws me out. I got nothing against anybody. I got nothing against those guys, and I know what. It's like, oh, maybe one of the producers is an Ed Sheeran fan or whatever. Like, okay, whatever. But yeah, I mean, it can be distracting, I think.
Be careful what you wish for because he is a huge Star Wars fan.
Is he?
Yeah. There was an interview that I think ABC News was having with him. He's playing the piano and he's got a biker scout on top of the piano with a stormtrooper on the side. So, and then they were talking about Star Wars, but it's just something he had. So it's interesting.
Yeah,
and then,
well, I might, he might show up. Who knows?
Right.
If like, if Justin Bieber shows up or somebody like that, you know,
John,
might
don't put that into the universe.
nothing against those guys.
No,
you know,
but it just wouldn't fit.
I support all artists. You know,
Yeah.
it's, you know, but yeah, I think certain actors are appropriate for Star Wars, and you know, I think celebrities. I would prefer not to see somebody so massive that it's distracting from the story.
Because it does take you out. But, you know, we had, you know, right. And we had, you know, we had Max von Sydow in The Force Awakens. Great actor. It made you even, that totally worked. And it made you more interested in his character.
I wanted more of him. You know, I remember when they announced that he was in it, I remember thinking, "Oh my God, who's he gonna play?" You know, this is gonna be great. You know, because he's just so perfect, and he's got so much gravitas, and he's one of those actors that you just can't take your eyes off.
Sure.
I love that. You know, and who else? Oh God, all the names are escaping me. Who played Dooku again? That was.
Christopher Lee.
Yeah. Another great actor. I would love to work with him. Mm-hmm. He's an interesting cat. You ever looked up what he looked like?
Exactly. Yeah.
He makes heavy metal albums, and he's like, he's all about it, man.
I think during what is the movie he's in that he plays? Did he play Sauron? Lord of the Rings. Mm-hmm. I remember the director.
Saruman. He was Saruman.
Right.
Yeah.
But they were talking about.
You see?
Exactly. Yeah, there you go. There you go. Yeah. But the director, they were doing a scene where they had to kill somebody, and he came in and told the director, if you wanted to kill somebody, you wouldn't do it this way. You'd do it this way. And he showed him exactly how to do it. And I guess his military career kind of dictated the fact that, you know, there's a certain way that you insert the blade in the brainstem to kill somebody. A little chilling on set, I would say.
Especially getting it from him. It must have been just like, imagine like whoever he told that to must have just been looking at him like.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's imposing.
Yeah.
So before we wrap up, I want to ask you quickly, obviously your love for music and you being a nerd of Star Wars, what would be one of your favorite Star Wars soundtracks? Or just a single song?
Well, I mean, look, I don't want to like, you know, do the whole, I mean, John Williams' stuff is so iconic. It's probably the easy answer, right? Mm-hmm. But to be honest, you know, because I like doing, you know, playing music and making music myself, I really like what Ludwig Göransson is doing with both The Mandalorian and The Book of Boba Fett. I think both of those scores so far have been really, really cool. But as far as like favorite moment goes, I can't remember what the name of what the title of the song is, but it's the moment when Anakin and Padme they're looking. It's right before Anakin turns, really. And
okay.
It's that moment, and he's in the I guess at the temple, and she's all the way across town, and just with the sun's going down and that sound, and it's just really ominous, and there's something about it that's really great. Duel of the Fates is amazing too.
Sure.
Yeah. I remember there was some really good stuff in Clone Wars that I liked.
Kevin Kiner, he's the composer for Clone Wars and Rebels, and some of his work is just amazing.
Yeah, there was some good stuff in Rebels too. I remember, you know, I mean the music, and you know, I mean, come on, the music is such a huge part of it. That,
sure.
You know, it's a character of the show, and
that's what I always say. Absolutely.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Sometimes you have to listen to the music as well as listening to the lines and what they're saying to be able to catch certain things, because you know, especially with John Williams, you know, he likes to sneak in little little notes that remind you of either the dark side or the hope theme, and it really puts your brain in it leads your head in a new direction by looking at it. When I watch Star Wars, I usually watch it several different ways with different eyes. Obviously, I love behind the scenes, so I take a look at it that way. Obviously, the main way that everybody else looks at it for the story and the spectacle. Sometimes I'll just listen to the music or listen to the soundtrack. And George Lucas has always said that Star Wars was really designed to be kind of a silent film with all the music because it tells you the story right there. So it's really a really cool thing,
Yeah. Also, even the moments of dead silence are, very impactful too. So whoever, they're very smart about where they're placing music and how they're setting tempo for scenes and I mean it's an art, and they're the best, got the best people in the world working on these things, and I mean we live in amazing times.
Yeah, and we're getting weekly Star Wars, so it's a win-win.
I mean, come on.
Yeah.
I mean, what more could you ask for?
We lived through the dark times in the 90s when we weren't getting a damn thing. So here we are, all spoiled.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Shanti, anything else you want to ask before we wrap up?
I guess the most basic of questions that we actually haven't asked is, what is your favorite Star Wars movie?
It's got to have to be The Empire Strikes Back. I know that's It is. It's the best. I think it's one of the best. I think it's one of the best movies ever made. I mean,
in general, it is.
My favorite movies of all time, are The Wizard of Oz and Star Wars. It's just, to me, it's just everything I love. Every shot is absolutely perfect. All the Cloud City stuff is just I don't. It's funny because I was listening to what you were saying before about how when you watch it from different kind of points of views. I get so I just let myself get sucked in. I try not to have a critical eye when I'm watching it because I want to enjoy it. There's something maybe once in a while that would jump out that would be but for the most part, when I watch Empire Strikes Back, that's something where I can watch. I don't think about anything else. I'm watching and I'm enjoying it. But yeah, I think it's one of the greatest movies ever made. I think Irving Kershner did. I mean, he brought together the relationships of the characters so much in that film. It became more of a character-driven story than a spectacle for me. And again, getting back to what I was saying earlier about friendship and why I think that's the most important thing about the show for me, or the films for me, is that he turned it up so high and made everybody just lose their minds watching that film, because it was like, oh my God, what's going to happen to my friends? That's how that's why I love that film the most out of all of them. And of course nothing's the original is A New Hope is always going to be that one thing that just changed the world. But yeah, Empire for me is really where it's at.
Absolutely. I feel Empire Strikes Back is probably the best sequel that has ever been made. It's up there for me with Wrath of Khan, but Empire Strikes Back for sure is probably the best. The best. It's my favorite movie. It's not only my favorite Star Wars movie. It's just my favorite movie in general.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I mean,
it's perfect.
Yeah,
I never get tired. Yeah, you're right. It is. It's perfect.
I think it's perfect.
It's a perfect film. You never get tired of it. At least I don't. I mean,
it's definitely the one I've watched the most.
Yeah.
Do you remember when MTV used to have MTV Cribs and whoever they would go and look at their house and everybody always had Scarface playing on their on their screen. For me, it'd be The Empire Strikes Back.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep. Totally agree. John, I just want to thank you very much for joining us tonight. We had such a blast. I hope you had fun with
great.
our little Q. But is there any new projects that you're working on that you would not want to tell folks about? I know before we started, we talked about civil disobedience.
Yeah, I'm in a series called Civil Disobedience, and it's tackling a lot of socially relevant content right now, or issues right now. Let's see, we've done 3 episodes. We're trying to raise some money for post-production for the big pilot episode. I've got a nice big part in that.
Okay.
Very cool.
If you follow me on social media, you'll see me posting about it. They've got a campaign on Indiegogo. If you want to go and just type in civil disobedience, it'll be the first thing that probably comes up. And then I've got a couple things planned, a couple things that are in the works, but not definite at the moment. There's a movie that I'm attached to called Campfire, which has a lot of horror icons from the 80s. It's got an amazing cast. Dee Wallace from E.T. and Denise Crosby from Star Trek: The Next Generation.
She's awesome.
A whole ton of people. It's neat. If you go to IMDb, just take a look at the cast list. You'll be like, oh my god, this is crazy.
Yeah, that's cool.
But that's hopefully that's going to happen. Like, it's a miracle movies ever get made. So I'm hoping it's going to happen. So far, it looks pretty like it's going to happen. So fingers are crossed on that. And then there's another project that I don't know if I can talk about yet, because I'm not sure where they are in their pre-production and what's going on. Sure. So I don't want to talk too much about it. But if you want to watch me in something, you can check me out on Light as a Feather on Hulu.
Okay. And
you can also check out my web series, The Rolling Soldier. That's on YouTube and Facebook, and I don't know, Tubi. It's on Tubi also. Mm-hmm. So if you got Tubi, check it out there.
Excellent.
Other than that, just waiting for the next gig.
Awesome. Well, good luck to you, and we'll definitely watch your socials and check out what you post. I saw the trailer. I think there's a trailer for Civil Disobedience, and there's a lot of heavy stuff in the trailer alone.
Yeah,
so.
It tackles a lot of really hard issues that are happening right now. A lot of socially relevant, socially conscious stuff.
Sure.
And I think it's gonna do really well.
Excellent.
Yeah, good project.
Very nice. John, once again, thank you so much for joining us here on the Scarif podcast. We love talking to fellow nerds. And real fast before we leave, favorite Duran Duran song?
New Religion off Rio.
Oh man, we're soulmates, brother. Yeah, we're soulmates. New Religion. I love that song. You know what I love about it?
Yeah, let's go.
So there's a dialogue that is written in there where Simon is talking to his alter ego, that chorus, and it's back and forth, and I just love that. I love that. New Religion is probably my favorite Duran Duran song. It's so funny.
That, and I mean, my favorite album is their first album, but I think my favorite song is New Religion.
Yeah.
That, and I like a lot of the more obscure kind of like stuff too. Like I thought Union of the Stake was a great song too. Mm-hmm. I love that track. Anything that has Andy playing on it, I'm down for.
Yeah.
Yeah. But listen, guys, it was really great talking to you guys. I really appreciate it. It was really nice to sit down and talk Star Wars and
absolutely
and Duran and these other things for you guys.
Open invite whenever you want to do that. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right on. All
right. And we want to thank everybody in the chat that hung out with us. Check out his IMDb. I posted it in the chat twice. Check it out and give him a follow. And check out all the stuff that he's doing and is releasing. But awesome, John. Thank you so much. Shanti, you want to take us out, Shanti?
Sure. And that's the scuttlebutt.
Excellent.
All right.
Talk to you guys later.